Okay, we should be live right now, but I'm getting I'm getting fucking a terrible ping right now.
Up there goes.
Yeah, okay, so we are definitely live. Hey everyone, how are you guys doing? I got Filthy Heretic here today because if you're actively in my Discord server, you'll see that when my mic broke, I promised anybody who, was paying for the majority of the microphone, the fee to replace my microphone, that they could get a spot on my next patron stream. So yeah, he donated the
Yay.
most of it. So thanks to everyone else who
Hello.
donated though. Like don't get me wrong, I really appreciate it, but
At first it was sounding a little choppy, but it looks like it's broken in, so it sounds a lot better now.
yeah, like I said, I'm getting a terrible connection speed right now. Anyway,
Uh,
we got anybody in the chat right now who's
it says we got 11 people watching. Hello.
hey Artless. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna
so
go
you're
ahead
saying,
and I'm just gonna go ahead and assume that there'll be more of them as we go along here.
yeah, I'll be checking out the chat.
Yeah, there's people saying that there's no lag on the stream, so
Yeah, that's good news. So in the meantime, like while we wait for people to go on, like why don't we talk about that article you sent me about Congressman Hunter?
oh yeah, Congressman Duncan Hunter from California. So we're in like the most absurd state. We're in the most absurd part of late stage statism, I'd argue. Like just the last few weeks have been amazing. I, I don't really have a better way of putting it. It's just watching these politicians fumble all over each other, trying to make sense of what to do in a world where they've increasingly become irrelevant. It's pretty
I
fascinating.
I think we need to reevaluate how we approach the motives of the state
Oh,
because I
totally.
think they recognize that they can't gain power anymore. Like that's just not going to happen. At least not going to happen in any significant measurements. And any gains they do make are typically going to be offsetted by losses somewhere else. I think what they're doing is they're trying to keep the lights on for the next 5 minutes. They're trying
Oh,
to staunch the
totally.
bleeding.
Yeah, I have absolutely no doubt about that. I mean, have you, most notably, not to change the subject, but have you also seen recently, I was the one who who started pointing this out actually, but, yeah, the Bilderberg meeting of 2019 happened, yeah, on May 30th, I think it was hosted in Switzerland, and immediately after that, two things happened. The government started proposing these antitrust laws on Google and other social media companies, and every government of the world started proposing bans or regulations on cryptocurrencies, which for those
Yeah,
of
you
you
did.
who for those of you who aren't regular viewers or didn't watch my news coverage of the ban which Brad Sherman, the senator from California, proposed, which ended up completely backfiring and ended up causing a rally in the crypto market. Yeah, that's the thing. Every time a state proposes a ban, like cryptocurrency is a really amazing commodity because it's the only commodity where the more force is applied by the state, the more influential it becomes in the market, and the more people, the less control the state has over it.
I'm not sure I actually agree with that because you can see a very similar phenomenon with guns and gun control. Whenever there's a mass shooting, and especially when there's a backlash in the form of proposals for gun control and gun legislation, you can see that gun dealers like see record sales like just overnight.
Well,
I
yeah,
also see something
but the
similar
thing,
with
but the thing is, in that situation, the only people who are using guns, or at the very least, the people, yeah, the people that are using guns in the event of a gun ban aren't going to be normies at that point. It's going to be people who don't care about the laws that are being proposed, or have a utility for guns that supersedes the that supersedes the risk proposed to them by the state's new regulations or bans on the legal sale of firearms. Whereas with cryptocurrency, just by default, there's absolutely nothing that the state could do about it. So the people who are going to be trading with cryptocurrency in the event of cryptocurrency being more regulated by the state are going to be people who've simply been shown by this the utility of cryptocurrency, which is that it's a means of trade that can't be outlawed or monitored by the state, because if it would, it wouldn't be possible for there to be an active market, even though it's banned or regulated. So what it does is it not only encourages more people who previously didn't know anything about cryptocurrency, it basically debunks all of the state's propaganda about it being able to monitor cryptocurrency, and cryptocurrency being some sort of pyramid scheme. It's a pretty absurd one that I've heard. Or cryptocurrency not being very secure. But on top of that, what it does is it makes it so all of these, and this is my favorite part, um, when there are like fewer restrictions on the legal trade of cryptocurrency, you get all of these centralized exchanges like Coinbase, which come along and basically serve as a way to track people who are trading with cryptocurrencies, to make it so they're easier to track. Because
they're a centralized database,
yeah, they're
a
well not
centralized exchange that was talking about like
yeah,
cutting down because of these.
you set up an account through Coinbase, and you have to use your bank account to buy and sell crypto. It's just complete fucking AIDS. And yeah, well, those are going to start getting shut down. So the other glorious thing about this is that it necessarily moves more people into trading through counter economic exchanges and underground markets. It increases the demand by further demonstrating the utility of cryptocurrency, and advertising its usefulness to more people. And yeah, just the fact that it becomes more valuable as a result is also going to encourage more people to start trading with it. And it ensures that the only ways in which it's going to be traded are through underground counter economies. So literally, the more that the state attempts to regulate cryptocurrencies, and the more legal restrictions they put on cryptocurrencies, the more cryptocurrencies are going to become a problem for the state, and the more influential counter economies will become. But the problem for the states, that's pretty much the only thing it can do, is use coercion. That's it. And the more that it uses coercion, the more that it screws itself over.
I'm comparing it to guns because both kind of now exist as a form of political resistance. That the simple owning of a commodity that the government does not like and increasingly does not like is both a signal to speculators to try to buy up that commodity more and more because its increasing scarcity as a direct result of government
Oh,
restrictions is going to make that commodity a lot more valuable. In
politically
addition,
speaking, yeah, politically speaking, cryptocurrency is infinitely more powerful and useful than a gun or an organized militia. Because if you were simply using armed resistance or an organized militia, for one thing, that doesn't create competition within the state market. So if you actually were to win, and you were to overthrow the current regime, which is being repressive, all that's going to happen is moneylenders are going to give a bunch of money to a new group of politicians, and those people are then going to create a new monopoly on arbitration because you didn't create a competitive framework within the existing society to fall back on. So basically, you still had the centralized framework, even though you overthrew your government. You still sort of had a monopoly on arbitration, even though you made it function. You overthrew it functionally, and
And another thing I was going to get to, and this is another reason why I'm comparing it to guns, is that it advertises as something that the regime doesn't like, especially to partisans and normies who participate in partisan partyarchy politics. Because, oh, the Trump administration doesn't like crypto. Well, I'm a socialist Democrat, so I probably should get crypto because screw Trump.
well,
You get that kind of mentality. It's
another thing
basically
is
free advertising.
Another thing is that it significantly reduces the risk associated with actually engaging in anti-establishment or counter-establishment politics. Because
Wait. I got an idea.
whereas
Is there any way we
hold
can
on,
advertise?
I wasn't done. But yeah,
Sorry.
when you're starting an armed resistance movement or you're in a militia, well, you're basically putting yourself on the line. But with cryptocurrency and counter economics, you're basically just living life as usual, except you're actually profiting more than you would be. So it's actually, not only is there less risk, but there's actually gain associated with it, which can't really be said um, with with militias or armed resistance. Anyway, everyone in the chat wants me to start playing Battlefront 2. I don't know. I thought you guys wanted to hear, about politics, but okay. Um, Josephat,
Apparently.
yeah,
I'm surprised
Josephat,
that you're.
Benita. Hey, nice to see that nice to see that you're watching. What were you gonna say though, Filthy?
I was kind of expecting you to be talking about this while playing the game.
Yeah, I can start the game right now. It's just I can't look at the chat because it's full. It's gonna be full screen. But
Yeah. Well, can
whatever.
you open it on your phone or something?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get my
I mean,
phone right now.
I can pay attention to the chat and read off any questions that come on.
Yeah. Hold on though. The stream's about to get fucking ear raped with audio if I don't turn down the desktop audio. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that while the game plays.
Because it's
What was that?
I mean, I was just thinking, like, I saw Heartless Soy Boy on the chat say, "I hate Pride Month," and I was wondering if you would that.
I'm sorry, you cut out there. What did you say?
I said Heartless Soy Boy in the chat said that he hates Pride Month.
He hates Pride Month, and what about it?
I don't know, like, what are your thoughts on it?
I don't have any problem with, whatever people want to identify with, but as a political construct, the LGBT, I think it goes without saying, is a symptom of intersectional social justice, and that's going to hold on. I gotta turn down the audio some more.
Alright.
All right.
I'm sick of it. I mean, I have no problem with anyone with a non-standard sexuality. Like, I don't care. And that's the thing. Like, most people, the overwhelming majority of people, don't care. We have our own lives to live. We have our own interests. Maybe some of them are non-standard. Maybe some of us have a little weirdness going on in our lives. But ultimately, it's like, what you do in the privacy of your bedroom is not my concern. I don't care who you want to have sex with. It's not something to be proud of. So stop all pride crap.
All right, so well, the one thing I was gonna say about that is, yeah, the idea that yeah, I think it goes without saying that the LGBT serves as sort of a it operates within the Hegelian dialectic. It takes all these groups and then pits them against other groups and claims that the groups that they're being pitted against are political and are enemies and are repressing them. So on those grounds, yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and yeah, disagree with the political goals and how the LGBT functions. I would, um, yeah, of course, I'm going to take the individualist position because fundamentally that's what I do with everything. Anyway, now that I've got the game loaded up, which by the way, Filthy, can you tell me whether or not the game showing on the stream? Should be, but
Yes, it is. It's showing up on the upper
yeah,
left corner, however.
okay, okay. So, so we're gonna start a campaign here. Which one should we do? Clone Wars or Galactic Civil War? And between those two, if it's Clone Wars, should I be the Republic or the Confederacy? And if it's the Galactic Civil War, should I be the Empire or the Rebellion?
Definitely be the Confederacy.
All right.
I mean, I don't know. Should we leave it? Should we ask the chat?
I chose it anyway.
Okay, this stream's a little behind, so. Anyway, someone got a question for me. Kevin Ham asks, Filthy, is that why you are a Catholic at Ancap? We focus on your life and not others. I say this only because I know the Catholic Church is against LGBT and some Catholics want LGBT to be banned. Well, yeah, I mean, every person should have their own. I can't think right now. Yep, yeah, I mean, my whole thing is just like I want to leave people alone. What they do with themselves is entirely up to them. Love the sinner, hate the sin, but ultimately it's up to others whether or not their soul will be saved. All I can do is just teach them, like, look, you don't necessarily have to believe in God. You probably should, but you don't have to. As long as you're a good, virtuous person, all will be well. No, I was saying this stuff on Discord chat like just a few hours ago, that I believe it was during the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church debated amongst itself whether or not Aristotle went to heaven. Now, Aristotle, of course, the Greek philosopher,
Obviously, he didn't.
no,
God damn it.
he probably had no idea that, what are they? He had no idea that he had no idea that Greco-Roman, what am I saying? I can't talk right now. He had no idea that Judaism existed. I mean, it did exist at the time, but he could be forgiven for not even being aware that it existed. So how could he possibly have been a Jew or a Catholic or anything else? How could he possibly believe in God? So are these people just screwed? Is there no way for them to get into heaven? And the conclusion that the Catholic Church came to is that although, yes, there was no possible way that he could ever be expected to believe in God, he was still a virtuous person. He was still a good person who did a lot to help humanity through the development of logic and reason, the scientific method. So, by that logic, like, yeah, you don't really have to believe in God necessarily. You just have to follow God's teachings, whether you know it or not. In a sense, I can imagine that Aristotle got up to the pearly gates, and God was just like, "Yeah, you had no idea this was about to happen. So, like, you can be completely forgiven for not knowing." I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I'm quoting it very poorly.
as an atheist, yeah, I reject the debate entirely. But yeah, I get your point. You really could have summed that up much quicker. Aristotle came along before Christianity, so it's kind of dumb to hold him up to their standards.
Yeah, but there was also a Judaism, which basically believed in the same God. Which
Yes, I can. And I'm going to.
What?
One of the clones said he can't take us all down, and yes, I can, and I did.
Oh yeah, the heroes are just
Yeah, the leader
game.
bonus is broken.
Oh man, that is just
You start,
beautiful.
yeah, you get 1,000 credits starting off. They really should not have done that.
Only problem is you can only use the leader once. I mean, it's good for the opening mission. It's also probably the most fun in the game. I mean, like, if I recall correctly from my time playing this, like, the best ones are the leader bonus and the auto turrets bonus.
Well, it also depends on the stage. Sometimes you can get like Django Fett, and those type of heroes are fucking terrible.
I mean, Boba Fett's actually pretty good, but only because his blaster's broken as hell. But Jango Fett completely useless. Just be judicious. Be judicious. Logan Luker asks, "Did you hear the LGBT took over the SCP wiki?"
Yeah, I saw that.
I mean,
fucking funny.
I've heard that like months ago.
Yeah, that's not a new story by any means. Yeah, I think that the case which everyone got up in arms about was pretty hilarious.
I haven't really followed that story because I don't follow SCP. So
Oh,
would you
shit.
elaborate?
Basically what happened is somebody posted a self-insert wiki about themselves being like a transgender satellite or something. Was it a satellite or was it like a space station?
I would not know. Let's just say satellite.
So they wrote a self-insert about themselves being a transgender satellite. We'll go ahead and say it's a satellite for the sake of this situation. But god damn it, I don't know what to. Hold on, I'm turning these sound effects down again. Speech volume. That's sound effects weren't so loud. It's fucking yeah.
Tri-fighter, nice choice.
But anyway,
I think
yeah, I have it on Elite, so I love it. No one plays on Normal. Normal's gay. Okay, I should say differently sexually abled or whatever. But yeah, nobody who's skilled plays on Normal.
So, I mean, last thing I remember from the SCP community is you have that Russian guy who decided, like, hey, you know what? I'm just going to get a copyright on SCP. Yay! Which, honestly, we should have put that in the copyright video. It's in my mind. I don't know why. I'm kind of kicking myself for that now. But anyways. And Omen Rose asks, do you watch JoJo?
Do we watch JoJo? You mean JoJo? Yeah, I was about to say. No, I don't.
I've been meaning to watch part 5, but for some reason I haven't gotten around to it. But I mean, if you watch anything, watch part 2 because that part's amazing. And some of the parts are even better when you watch them out of context. Like that one scene where this group of Nazis are killed by an ancient Aztec fitness god using poses and dancing to fuse their hands together.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, but
Exactly. Said some of those parts are better watched out of context because they make absolutely no sense whatsoever and they're amazing. Wait, what? You can use a repair tool to hack enemy vehicles? How does that work?
oh, in Battlefront 2, yeah, you can.
I don't remember that.
It's because nobody plays the pilots.
I mean, I did because they auto heal your.
Yeah, and if you're playing online, everybody uses them. Yeah, you can play online now, but if you're playing online, everybody uses them because they have this broken... Yeah, they have that broken shotgun, which basically can take down anybody in, like, one shot.
I mean, like, what's the deal with the hacking tool? I played Battlefront 2 a lot when I was
It's
when it
intent.
was
Yeah,
actually new, but
well, it started in the first game, but it was originally to repair vehicles.
so how does it work?
You basically you have it on your right click, or at least if you're playing PC. If you're playing it on like console, I think it's right bumper. And yeah, you just hold it down, and if you're standing next to a vehicle, it'll hack into it.
And what happens when you hack into a vehicle?
You get to ride in it.
Usually it just the vehicle. When I played it, it's like the vehicle was just there, and in order to pilot it, you just have to enter it, like any vehicle.
Yeah, I'm not as skilled at space battles as I am on ground missions. That's because I never played them. They're just not that fun to me. But yeah, they're entertaining to watch, I'm sure.
I mean, imagine like if there were larger space battles, it'd be a lot more. Also, the problem is you're playing as a bomber, which although tankier, are also slow as hell. I mean, on the plus side, the CIS has the best bomber in the game.
Yeah. I don't know. TIE Bomber's okay.
I mean, they just like dump all their bombs at once.
On me right now, yeah. Yeah, I probably should go with the Tri-Fighter next time, next spawn. Because, yeah, this is AIDS.
Probably. I mean, right now it looks like you're trying to dogfight.
Alright.
Got him. Ooh, get a drop ship into the enemy hangar. Now I distinctly remember drop ships being just broken in space.
Dropships? Oh, you mean the Republic dropships, right?
No, all the factions have a drop ship.
Oh, okay.
I just remember them just being stupidly broken.
Forgot for a second how to get out. I cannot okay, I was about to say, I cannot believe I haven't been shot once yet.
Will that actually kill? Oh my god, they're dumb enough to actually get on top of it.
Oh yeah, they're gonna do it. And I blew up the health thing too, but okay. Took like 10 of them out.
Well, right now I'm watching on the stream, and it's like 10 10 seconds behind. They actually get on top of it.
I did it again.
That's amazing.
I mean, they're on Elite, but yeah, some dumbass AIs. It's like 2005 though, so whatever.
Yeah, but still. You can also use your those things to take out some of the components from the inside, if I recall correctly.
I think I'm gonna do that again. It's clearly the way I gotta go. I'm gonna go about doing this like that, because yeah, it's way quicker as well.
Wait for it. And the clones go flying.
See if I can make it.
Nope. Got it.
This is such a cheese strat, but I love it.
I mean, the cheese strat's the best strat. Prove me wrong.
But the best part about this cheese strat is it's not like entirely lacking in skill. Because, yeah. Takes quite a bit to dodge all that. And by quite a bit, I mean just roll over and over again and get lucky. Because the AI is...
It's skill.
That's my skill, yeah.
Let's see.
Oh god. I have it on a pretty high sensitivity, but okay.
There we go. Not EA Battlefront 2? I mean, wasn't this game published by EA as well?
No, it was published by I think LucasArts, but it was developed by Pandemic.
Who were killed by EA?
Yeah, who eventually got killed by EA.
Victor Echo 1-2.
What?
Nothing, I'm just watching a stream and you died and then two of them are still standing near the bomb and then there's someone flying.
Yeah.
Again, I'm like 7 seconds behind.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I don't know how to play music through this thing. I mean, I could play it on my phone, which then goes to the mic, but it'll probably be terrible quality. Yeah, Disney did do the most damage. It's true. Like, I don't know, like... When Legends was just the expanded universe...
What would you... What would you rather have? Jar Jar Binks being the main character in every one of the prequels? Or, LucasArts still owning EA? I mean... Star Wars. I think I probably said that wrong, but yeah, you get the point. I think I'd rather, LucasArts own Star Wars still and have every single Star Wars movie have Jar Jar Binks as a main character than Disney own Star Wars and have it continue the way that it currently is going.
I wouldn't go so far as to say Jar Jar Binks should be a main character in all the movies.
Name one character which is better in the Disney sequels than Jar Jar Binks. Like, I'm not saying Jar Jar Binks is a good character, Jar Jar Binks is fucking awful, but, yeah, none of the characters in the new movies are better than the worst character in the prequels.
I'm still hesitate to go that far. I mean, most of them aren't as obnoxious. And none of them have, like, terribly annoying voices. I want to claw my ears out.
Okay. Definitely not using a hero bonus on Camino because the hero is Jango Fett.
Yeah, don't.
Go ahead and
Oh, that's right. If you take Camino, that's like devastating to the Republic economy.
Alright. Gonna have a garrison bonus though, so we're gonna have more soldiers than them.
Excellent. Logan Looker says Kylo Ren is far more annoying, being a cringeworthy edgelord who flip-flops more than Hillary.
I mean, there's nothing there. I don't have any problems with that. Do you?
No. He's basically just someone trying way too hard to be cool and edgy and hip. I can just imagine it. I can just imagine like in episode 9, Kylo Ren walks into a Jedi Academy saying, "How do you do, fellow kids?"
Yeah, I could agree with that. But, anyway, just noticed on this map that one of the starting command posts for the Confederacy is inside the building. Since it's Camino, that doesn't really make sense. I don't know.
I mean, apparently the initial assault was extremely successful.
Initial assault, implying that this one's not.
I mean, how did they get those command posts in the first place? Like any of them. Logan Looker says, then that one time Kylo failed. He threw a temper tantrum
I know.
And destroyed his control room.
Oh, they've got heavies now. They bought heavies, apparently.
Oh boy.
It's alright, though. The only unit that you really need are snipers, at least in my opinion.
And, while you're playing Confederacies, the Droidicas are mandatory.
I mean, not really. If you have snipers, you can basically win any round.
And you're also on Camino, which is basically the sniper map.
Yeah, I don't have snipers though on my team. We just have super battle droids, which are basically they're the best like medium unit in the entire game because they can do that.
Yeah. Logan Looker says, oh god, The Last Jedi also had a purple-haired SJW who almost got her whole team killed.
I know, that's one of the main things I think everybody hates about that movie is what was her name? Admiral Holdo?
Yes, that's it. I was actually blanking.
Yeah, I literally don't even remember her name. That's a great sign of some well-written characters, guys.
I mean, it's funny because I was like, at like some of the Last Jedi backlash, I don't remember if it was a video or some article somewhere, but they mentioned like one change, like one line of dialogue that would have actually fixed a lot in that movie. I'm assuming everyone here has seen it or at least knows enough about it to like know what happened. Yeah, so the basic idea is that Holdo doesn't trust anyone for some in reason. Like, she has this plan, this great elaborate plan to get everyone in the Rebel Alliance like safely away from the First Order, because they're in a situation where they're in the universe's slowest car chase, because someone thought that that would be fun to watch for some reason. Anyways, what were they thinking? Anyways, so Holdo's trying to be like incredibly secretive about it for some reason. This is like, oh no, we have a plan. We totally have a plan. Yeah, just trust me, guys. We have a plan. When in fact, like, this whole secrecy thing, getting everybody, including like many of the main characters, like riled up into a panic. It's like, oh god, she's gonna get us all killed. This could have all been avoided if she just said one line of dialogue. All that needs to happen is when Poe Dameron confronts her with this, like, okay, so we have a plan, right? You need to tell us what the plan is. He takes, and you gotta remember, like, one last important thing about the context is that the First Order is apparently able to track them through hyperspace. So what Admiral Holdo does is take Poe Dameron aside and just says, listen, how do you think they're able to track us through hyperspace? There's a spy on the ship. And that changes everything. It explains like why she has to be incredibly secretive about it. Why she can't even trust her closest lieutenants with it.
Yeah, but
Why
she's
she can't,
she's the strong, independent woman, so they can't do that because she has to be a good guy.
I mean, another change that I would make is replace Haldo with Admiral Akbar. I don't think anyone would disagree with me on that. Getting her to do the hyperspace ram instead of him would have been a proper way to, like, give a proper send-off to the character, rather than, you know, just dying anonymously. Like, oh, by the way, he died too. That they did, which was absolutely absurd.
Oh, by the way, he died. I mean, that pretty much is how they killed him off.
Yeah. Just, she didn't need to be there. Just, also one other thing about line about spot on the ship. It would have also been able to avoid the whole casino planet thing.
Yeah, they could have made the storyline a lot more interesting.
And it's amazing, like how many small simple changes can make things a whole hell of a lot better. I mean, there's still a lot of problems with it. For example, I can't get over those bombers at the beginning. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, where they're in space, they release the bombs, and yeah, they fall down as if there's gravity.
Yeah. I mean, they apparently move on a two-dimensional plane in space. They're very slow and cumbersome, and are so fragile, a single destroyed TIE fighter is able to kill 3 of them. How do you screw that up?
Oh yeah, the garrison bonus on this map was way overkill. Look at that. They have 2 left, and we have 60.
They're watching those wrist rockets now. Good lord, that's freaking amazing. Where's the last guy?
Let's see.
I mean, knowing the AI, he's in a turret somewhere.
Or he's, like, hanging off the side of one of these islands. But probably in a turret. I've seen them, like, get stuck on, like, one of the sides of the islands. Like, that's how I know that's a thing that happens. I've seen it.
Oh.
Anyone have any questions in chat, or are they just talking about the gameplay?
They're just talking about the gameplay.
All right.
I don't know. Can they? Is I'm just trying to read through it. Josephat Pineda, I think that's how you pronounce it, says if only Battlefront 3 was more like this. Just saying.
Oh yeah, speaking of Battlefront 3, I mean, I don't know if I've mentioned this yet, but one of the projects, which, Douglas Terabyte, which I don't know if you guys know or not, but it's one of the lead developers on the FNet project, one of the lead programmers that is contributing. I've created a design for a type of network that you can run with any sort of game client, which, to basically spare the technical details, is essentially just like it's just a blockchain network, but, yeah, it works with, it's a blockchain network, but any time that the game client is running, or that you're running a client, it'll be generating revenue, for the person, like for the address that the client is programmed to send cryptocurrency, which is being mined to. And it doesn't have a host server, so it operates in a sort of decentralized framework. But one of the first games that we're putting out in this sort of model of network we're gonna finish up Battlefront 3. We're gonna put together like a few $1,000, and because I don't know if like anybody here is too familiar with it. I mean, I know you're familiar with the game, but how close to being finished it was. I mean, the campaign, all the maps, everything was done. It's just that, yeah, it's sort of buggy. The frame rate doesn't work correctly, and some of the textures are unfinished. It is like it's 99% done. It's so complete that there are walkthroughs of the campaign you can find on YouTube. But yeah,
Judging by how the shading and lighting barely works, I would say it's like 90% done. 99% done is basically like the game is finished. There is nothing left to do. It's just like tweaking and polishing.
fuck off AI.
Which, and probably some AI.
AI tanks.
I mean, can we?
And now they've got sniper units too.
Oh god.
Yeah, they bought snipers.
This map is like freaking.
Still winning. And now our reinforcements are going down. Alright.
Okay. This might be a problem. Anyways, Omen Rose wants me to look at this. He said he went onto a JoJo stand generator and got a stand called the Final Solution, and it had the ability to raise the dead.
The Final Solution.
I believe, wasn't that Heinrich Himmler's stand?
Yeah, I think so.
Steven Statterman says episode 9 will be depressingly bad.
Oh yeah.
Possible plot for this movie.
This is the first one where you can tell just by watching the trailer that it's gonna be bad. Like, I'm sure everyone's seen the trailer by now. They brought Palpatine back. TLDW. That's how out of ideas they are and how desperate they are. They brought Palpatine back.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that that's just like, I don't know, he's like in a flashback or something.
He's not going to be, and I think you know it.
I know. I can hope. And like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think we both love the character of Palpatine, both in Return of the Jedi and in the prequels. Like, he's an amazing character, but
canonically, they can't bring him back in any way that's going to be good for the storyline.
Yeah, and that's gonna be my problem.
It'll undermine the whole Darth Vader arc, and it'll undermine the prophecy.
It really will. Might as well, like, if they're just gonna, if the whole idea of the sequel trilogy is just to like take a big steaming dump on the entirety of what's come before it, bringing back Palpatine is probably the best way to do that. I mean, they already ruined Luke, so why wouldn't they ruin also another character that people love? What's next? I mean, is Palpatine also gonna love women?
Palpatine is gonna be gay. Yeah, that's what they're probably gonna do.
No, he's a trisexual.
If they do that, I mean, now that you're saying it, I could totally see them doing that. Like, Disney... No, I'm being serious. Like, Disney has added, like, since they've owned the canon, they've added, you know, storylines where Palpatine has love interests, and they've added that. No, I totally think that there's a possibility that might be the direction they're trying to go with it.
I want Palpatine to be a villain. They'll try to make him, like, a representative of toxic masculinity. So chances are he'll be just a straight white male.
Straight white male.
Who also happens to like guns for some reason. He wants to give everyone guns, and he wants to deregulate everything. Because, you know, he is a conservative who wears a Make America Great Again hat.
Calling it right now, they're gonna make him say something like... They're gonna have him, like, controlling a stormtrooper or something, or they're gonna have him controlling one of those Royal Red Guards, giving them commands. and yeah, people are freaking out that, you know, the person's being attacked by Royal Red Guards, whoever the character they choose to be attacked, probably gonna be, whatever the fuck they gave the black stormtrooper's name. Again, these characters are so awful, I don't remember them. Whatever the name of the black stormtrooper is.
Finn.
Yeah, Finn. He'll be fighting with Finn or something, and then Palpatine will turn condescendingly to the other characters and say, "Why would you call me an imperialist?" Or something like that. Trying to invoke Charlottesville. How much you want to bet? I can just see that.
It's entirely possible, though. One storyline I remember that was being leaked on, I believe it was 4chan, could be wrong. Some guy, some name fag who apparently has a pretty good track record for leaking not all of the details as they were being proposed at the time. So he was like 70 to 80% correct about the storyline for both The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. And his thing, what he found is that, like, apparently that there is some leaker within the First Order who, what does he do? He tells them, like, there's this facility that is basically responsible for creating all the First Order's new weaponry. And where it is, how it's powered, and it's powered by the souls of orphans in something similarly grim derp. Yeah, you're not going to kill that thing with wrist rockets. And there's going to be this whole storyline about Mary Sue getting pregnant.
Oh,
Kylo Ren
fuck.
getting jealous.
No way. Oh god,
That's what was in the leak. That was in the leak.
That's even worse than what I was thinking. Holy shit.
Yeah.
And I was
Also, it's
I'm
going
not gonna
to turn out.
And I'm not gonna lie, I was deliberately like trying to think of the worst thing that I possibly could, but yeah, it's worse than even that. The ideas that they're floating around.
Oh, and by the way, General Hux is going to turn out to be the leaker. The reason being is because he thinks Kylo Ren is a terrible supreme leader, and he wants to be in charge.
Oh yeah, Star Wars with Game of Thrones dichotomies.
Yeah, pretty much. Although, if I recall correctly, like, the way this facility is going to work is basically going to be a mini Starforge. Which, I don't know if you're familiar with the Knights of the Old Republic and how the Starforge worked.
I am familiar with Knights of the Old Republic, even though I didn't play it when I was younger.
Yeah, so just for those of you who don't know, the Starforge was basically a giant Death Star-sized factory that could just, like, churn out capital ship, battle droids, and all sorts of stuff. It was actually an original idea. Who would have thought? Maybe you don't. Maybe in order to make a threatening super weapon, it doesn't need to be planet destroying. Who would have thought? Freaking hell! Everybody's watching the destruction of their childhoods.
Trying to remember the Confederacy's hero on Kashyyyk, determining my bonus.
Kashyyyk?
Oh, it was Grievous, I think.
No, no. I think it's Django, actually.
God. Okay. God damn it.
I'll
hope I'm right.
I don't think we want to.
I'll hope that I'm right. Even if I'm wrong, though, I bought assassin units, so yeah, it's Django. Whatever.
All right. Django is this era. You're thinking about Boba. I'm talking to Tad, Gulcha Todd. Yeah, I was actually thinking about going to see Episode 9. I refuse to call it by its proper name because I don't remember what its name is. It's so long. Like Return of Skywalker or something?
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, Kylo Ren's gonna be redeemed by the power of Laman. Did you deploy the hero unit?
No, I'm just picking him off with a sniper.
Okay.
I'm not going to be doing this for every map, because if I did this, it wouldn't even be entertaining to watch. But, yeah, for this map, it works.
It works on this map because it's got a large open space. I'm probably going to go watch the 9 just so I can make a video about it and get that those free internet points for talking about a trendy topic.
Well, I'll be drug into it whether or not I want to, so...
And I'm going to end up watching it anyway, so I might as well watch it, I don't know, on opening day. I mean, I have no expectations that it's going to be good. In fact, what I expect is that it'll be better than The Last Jedi. It'll be well put together, well edited, with decent pacing, but the writing will just be like, what the hell are they thinking? I mean, if they actually do end up going with that whole storyline about, like, General Hux leaking to the Resistance about the First Order's Starforge because he doesn't like Kylo Ren, at that point, you can basically just rage quit.
Do you think Django is a super battle droid?
Yes. I mean, he died on, like, why is he here? He died on Geonosis.
I don't know, this game is so good I don't even care.
Fair enough.
Yeah, they've got Wookiees on this map, so it's sort of like their Geonosis, because, except, you know, Wookiees are better than Geonosians.
I mean, at the very least, Geonosians have a pretty powerful ranged weapon, and
There's a tank behind me and I didn't even notice it.
Oh wait, doesn't Jango Fett have bombs?
Yeah.
Or just thermal detonators?
And I'm out of ammo.
Oof. If you're playing a hero unit, you should not have to run out of ammo.
I know.
I'm actually surprised, like, Overwatch is the first game to give you unlimited ammo, but a finite magazine. I don't know, it just seems like common sense to me now. Oh god, I remember something. Have you ever played a Star Wars Bounty Hunter?
Yeah, I remember that.
The flamethrower in that game was so overpowered. Basically, it was a very short-range weapon, and it used the fuel from your jetpack. But any enemy that was struck by it would just instantly just start running around in circles until they died. It was especially, like, deadly against melee units because it was just like one shot everything that wasn't a boss. But then again, like, typically you get swarmed by enemies coming from multiple directions. It really wasn't always yet useful. An underrated game in my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, I never played it that much. I had it, but I don't know if I still do or not. If I do, it's on PS2, so I'm not going to be streaming it anytime soon.
I'm pretty sure you could get a emulator for it fairly easily.
Probably, yeah. I guess if I ever do. I mean, who in chat wants to see me stream that game? Maybe not for June's stream. Who wants to see me finish up this campaign for June 2019's patron stream? And who wants to see Star Wars Battlefront, not Battlefront, but Bounty Hunter? type 1 in chat if you want to see me finish up Galactic Conquest.
Oh, there it goes. They want you to finish up Galactic Conquest, apparently.
Alright. Because, yeah, these are not quick sessions. In fact, you know, it's full screen on my end, so I don't even know really how long I've been playing it. I think like probably an hour. It's a safe bet. But yeah, as you could see if you've been watching, I've been playing for like an hour, and I haven't even gotten one half of the galaxy yet. Like these can go on for a while.
Yeah. Also, Patrick Rooney wants you to play Force Unleashed too.
I have never played Force Unleashed, either of them, so I can, but it'll be my first time.
I'll just say this, like, Darth Vader is just a son of a bitch in that game.
He's one of the worst heroes in this game. I'm used to playing Battlefront 1, so I keep trying to press F to switch weapons. Because I've played that a couple times recently. I don't know, I think I have a preference for the heroes in Battlefront 1 as just AIs, which are overpowered, but you don't control them. I don't know, that makes it a bit more fun, in my opinion.
So how does it work? Do you fight the heroes, or do you,
They're invincible AIs, which have the ability to, kill everything that they run into in one hit, but they can only swing their lightsabers. And, yeah, well, they can only swing their lightsabers, and they don't have any force abilities. Oh, did they just choose a? I don't think they chose. No, they didn't choose a bonus, but they have a hero bonus, so they're going to on one of these maps.
Oh, this is Obi-Wan.
On Mustafar it is, but they didn't choose Obi-Wan. Actually, I think it's Anakin.
Anakin is only on one map.
And it's Mustafar.
That one, yeah, Mustafar, but he's on the Empire.
There's no. Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes a bit more sense.
I know for a fact that he is only on one map for one faction.
I know the Confederacy's hero on Mustafar is Darth Maul for some reason.
He's on like.
He's in a couple of them, and I don't remember all the ones off the top of my head. He's in Tatooine. He's in Mustafar's, of course. He's in Jabba's palace. I'm trying to remember the others. Polis Massa, I think he's on that. He's on that one. No, I think that's Grievous.
No, Polis Massa is definitely Darth Maul. I know that because he is overpowered on that map. Because, like, you know how his lightsaber throw just has a ridiculously wide hitbox?
Yeah,
Yeah, that map is just narrow corridors. You can easily, like, wipe out entire group of spawns because they're all going down the same corridor, and then you just, like, saber throw.
Yeah, Darth Maul is pretty ridiculous on Mustafar, too. I just didn't have a Jedi bonus, or a hero bonus, as they call it in this game. On Battlefront 1, it's just Jedi bonus, and that's obvious, because they only have lightsabers, so...
You know, where are the Jedi who use blasters?
Oh yeah, apparently there's going to be a new series of sequels put out by Disney, and yeah, there aren't going to be any lightsabers anymore, which is that infuriates the shit out of me. Star Wars without lightsabers. Yeah, okay.
You're taking away like one of the main staples of the franchise.
What's next?
I mean, that's
Game of Thrones with fucking clubs, and instead of medieval setting, it's like pre-Stone Age. Flintstones Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones even be like?
Flintstones Game of Thrones.
That's a little terrifying. Lightsaber's racist.
Yeah, the black guys get a red lightsaber, and everyone else gets different colored lightsabers. Obviously, it's racist.
I was gonna say that. Have you ever looked at a lightsaber? How they have a colored outline, but the interior is always white.
Oh yeah, you say that you're diverse because you put in Mace Windu. You have a black Jedi, but he's the only Jedi with a purple lightsaber. That's racist.
How dare you? There is an actual black lightsaber. Yes, there is.
It's in the Clone Wars series, though.
Yeah.
They're called Force Sabers, I think.
Like in the... What?
They're called Force Sabers, I think, but that's really a dumb name because, all lightsabers are, made from Force crystals.
In the Star Wars Rebels series, they actually elaborate more on how that black lightsaber works. It's actually a genuine lightsaber, like an honest-to-goodness one. It's just... The backstory is that the first and only Mandalorian Jedi developed a lightsaber that was completely unique, one of a kind. And as a result, like, it looked like no other lightsaber before it.
1 death and 63 kills. That was my score on that round.
Damn, that's scary.
Well, these are terrible AIs, so...
Yeah, but still. The black lightsaber was unique, one of a kind, and when he died, the Jedi just locked it away, and then Mandalorians came, just like, yeah, this is ours now. And that's how they have it in the series, but it's a genuine lightsaber.
Can't get one of them yet.
You're in a very tough spot right now because, well, those two planets are positioned very awkwardly. I would say go to the go to the right, hit those two planets.
I can knock this one out pretty quickly and then come back to those other two much later on.
Yeah, sure. Besides, my Guido has General Grievous.
Yeah, so should be pretty quick.
Only problem is that Grievous doesn't have a saber throw.
Yeah, but he can't double jump, but it's ridiculously overpowered.
This is a waste of my training.
Oh, I'm so glad I turned those down.
Grievous and Yoda are the best hero units.
Yoda is just really hard to hit, but Grievous can knock down mobs pretty easily.
He just bulldozes through everything. I mean, it's not very realistic. It's not very, not a really good representative of how he is depicted in canon. I was actually watching a video about that the other day, And apparently the total number of Jedi that Grievous has killed in canon is 12.
Should be way more. I mean, it would have been way more if George Lucas had taken inspiration from the 2003 Clone Wars series instead of the other way around.
It's like over 15 years later since that series, and people still consider that version of Grievous canon. I think that should tell you something about what an impression that really made on the fan base. Everybody wanted Grievous to be a badass. And they still do.
They made him into a cartoon villain instead.
Yeah, like literally all it does is just like shake his fist like, Anakin!
Pretty much.
Like, what's some stupid Saturday morning cartoon going line? And I would have gotten away with it too, if it weren't for those
dumb
moldy
niggers.
Jedi and a Padawan.
Oh, I'm gonna get the stream taken down.
Alright, so Heartless Soy Boy asks, what do you disagree with Konkin on, Esso?
I disagree with his characterization of the interests of politicians and corporatists as a sort of class theory. That's the only thing I can really think of off the top of my head. If you read Konkin, he attempts to characterize like a couple of different classes of political actors, of actors within the political economy, and that's sort of his attempt to appeal. I think that was more or less his attempt to appeal to sort of people on the so-called left of the political spectrum, whatever the fuck that means. But yeah, basically his argument was that people who are corporatists, producers who benefit from legal privileges created by the state at the expense of other producers in the market, those people are going to be, against the interests of counter-economists because they benefit from the state, and that's some sort of, my first issue with that is, I suppose right now that would be somewhat accurate, because because corporatists are definitely going, we can see that they're attempting to suppress attempts to decentralize markets, and which challenge the interests of some of these bigger corporatist entities, like all the big tech companies have been trying to suppress IPv6, the addressing system, which would make decentralization more efficient. They've been suppressing that for like 15 years, and it's existed since like the late 90s, early 2000s, but it started seeing a resurgence in like 2004, 2005. So the state started shutting down companies trying to work with it. All these server hosters started targeting people who were distributing services, which allowed for multicasting, and which is the service in IPv6, which makes it more efficient to have decentralized networks. But my point is, the internet is a great way, and companies on the internet are a great example of corporatists acting against counter-economists. But as we've also seen, we've also been able to see that corporatist entities such as Kroger, what ends up happening actually is that as you develop a more prominent counter-economy in society, and counter-economic activities become more influential, they begin to drop the banks and the government grants and start trying to act around the government. Kroger, for example, being the first instance of a major corporatist company completely dropping credit cards in favor of cryptocurrency processing for checking out your groceries. And so that's
I only heard they were dropping Visa. They weren't dropping all credit cards.
yeah, they're dropping Visa credit cards, but yeah. So what we've seen though is not a sort of class interest. What we've seen is that if as the economy sort of decentralizes and it becomes more profitable to engage in networks of exchange around the state, a lot of the corporatist entities as of right now are going to start joining the counter economists because it's in their financial interests to do so. But also,
I had a really stupid.
what I was going to say though is Konkin's. I would disagree that this is a form of class because any form of class theory implies that it's some sort of identitarian group interest. Like, corporatists aren't just people operating for their resources and economic interess. No, they're operating because they're corporatists, and it's because they're corporatists they have these interests. I think that that's not the impression Konkin intended to give, and that's evidenced by the fact he makes it pretty ardently clear that he's an individualist. But yeah, I think that because of that, it's a bit clumsy to characterize this as a sort of class theory. I think that he did make a valid observation, though, that until counter-economists or just these general firms actually start putting innovations on the market and counter-economists create networks and means of trading which make operating around the state more profitable and efficient, but those things are really the same in the end. Corporatists are going to be operating against the interests of the counter-economists since they profit a great deal from associating with the state and the legal privileges provided by the state.
And I had a really stupid idea earlier. Can we advertise agoras to Democrats and people of that ilk as
that is not an idea
resistance against Trump?
That's not an idea you came up with earlier. That's something somebody mentioned in my Discord server like yesterday. But yeah, that's something.
I probably didn't see it.
I don't think that's a bad idea to characterize, to try and appeal to people who are deep into political parties. Hey, if you don't like Donald Trump or what Donald Trump is doing, you know how you could really undermine the Trump administration? What you could do is you could start trading in ways which undermine the state and make it more difficult for them to obtain revenue. Of course, they're not going to see what they're doing, but yeah, that is exactly what's going to end up happening. God damn it, I need to turn this down again. It's starting to distract me. Is that that was you again?
What?
All those Wookiee sounds, is that you?
No, that's.
Oh, okay. That's the that must be like an option in the game when you turn down the voice features. It plays the sounds to let you know what it's gonna sound like in game.
I was like, wait, only the Rebel Alliance has access to Wookiees.
Well, the Republic does on Kashyyyk, but they're not playable units.
And we're on Coruscant. More specifically, the Jedi Temple, which I would think like Coruscant's a little bigger than just the Jedi Temple. A little bit.
Oh my god, look at this carnage. Oh, you got a reinforced garrison?
What garrison?
Yeah.
This is target practice.
Well, their reinforced garrison just went into effect, and they're already lower than they were before in unit count.
Good lord. I mean, can you call him the nuke yet?
Darth
You have
Maul is
25
the
kills.
nuke.
Yeah, Control Ted is right. Maul is God. They wasted an awesome character.
I don't even want to
A
see
lot of
where they were going with Maul in the Solo storyline. Nobody wants to see that movie anyway, so I'm sure people don't care that I just spoiled the ending. 98
And I think
kills and
everybody,
0 deaths.
was fast. How many? 98?
Yeah, 98 and 0. I died 0 times, I got 98 kills.
Just another day on the job. Slaughtering clones because the Republic is too cowardly to use real soldiers.
Oh, they're trying their hand at Geonosis again. And I got snipers this time, so...
Oof. Yeah, that'll just be wreckage. Let's see here. Maul does die in Rebels, but did they
I don't think they have yet.
Logan Looker mentions that they revived him.
In Rebels?
I don't know.
No, he dies in
anything
Rebels.
about that. Yeah, I know he dies in Rebels. He mentions that
Stop.
they ruined it by reviving him.
I wasn't telling you to stop, it's just I keep this one spot that I'm looking out of keeps getting hit with missiles, makes it hard to aim.
Yeah, I see that. Oh. Oh, there it is. It's the. I mean, I think it's a good thing that Disney revived him. As we pretty much all agree earlier, like he had serious wasted potential. Basically, all of the prequel rewrites I've seen all involve Darth Maul surviving. Or just simply not being killed.
You know he was alive in Clone Wars, right? That wasn't Disney that revived him.
Yeah. But still, I think we're all in agreement that Darth Maul should not have died, or should not have been, I mean, he kinda was dead, except the death was retconned away.
Yeah, for the longest time,
should...
everyone's just sort of suspected that he died.
Pretty much.
But through the magic of bullshit writing, he can get brought back. It's not really bullshit writing, not compared to some of the stuff Disney's pulled, but...
Yeah. And to be fair, like, he did get a proper send-off. I don't think anyone's complained about how it is that he was killed. Logan Looker says, also, I love the Clone Wars episodes where the clones were the focus. I really like the episode with Slick, where he debates that the clones are slaves, and you could do slot with it.
You could do what with it?
Slot. I think it's a typo. I don't know what he's trying to say. Logan, if you want to clarify, please go ahead. But yeah, I think everybody's in agreement that, yeah, the clones were slaves.
Yeah, that was even brought up in canon, so...
Yeah, and in canon, like, the CIS used that as a form of propaganda to explain, like, yeah, we're using battle droids because
It's more
we're
humane.
more humane. We're not breeding clones specifically to die in a war that they had no participation in. Okay, here's what it is. Logan said, I really like the episode with Slick, where he debates that the clones are slaves. You could do a lot with it. Mouse over the clone commander unit.
Can't, because I'm...
Battlefront.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I
I
suppose
can't.
like he has a special voice line.
Yeah, I can't right now, because, yeah, I'm playing as the Confederacy.
Well, you're playing Confederacy, so you can't. But I mean, the clone commander is probably my favorite of the Republic faction. Because the minigun is just a lot of fun to use.
Oh, and I don't know if I've mentioned this. I actually, now that I think about it, I know that I haven't. But for those who were curious about the whole Windslayer situation, we actually ran into something pretty amazing during the development of that. Fighting their turret with my turret.
Didn't work.
But anyway,
There it goes.
yeah, what I was gonna say though is what we found is that instead of having to reprogram every single op code individually, hold on. Hey, don't yell through the door. Hey, I'm streaming. Hey! Stop, please. Oh my god, that was probably the most awkward moment I've ever had on a stream. I had someone talking through the door if you couldn't hear that.
Couldn't really make it out.
Okay. Alright.
So you're talking about Windslayer and the big...
Yeah. So we don't have to reprogram every single opcode. Instead, yeah, we just have to reformat them. So instead of this taking like 1.5 to 2 years to finish up, it's probably going to take like sometime like early to mid-July it'll be up. It's great. Oh, we can afford Joydicas now.
Excellent.
No, I think I'll stick with heroes because, like I mentioned, I only really need the sniper units. I got the heavies so that I could, make it more interesting to watch. Oh, I almost could just, I could almost afford a Droidica. Like, I'm 180 points away from just being able to afford it anyway, even though I bought a hero.
Well, Droidicas are tanky and with enough firepower, they're basically hero units in their own right. Probably the most overpowered unit in the game.
Alright. I mean, yeah, in Battlefront 1, they're just ridiculous. You are not going to win a Conquest with the Republic on Battlefront 1. Unless you are pulling some serious cheese strats. Oh, they're using their leader, which on Kashyyyk is Yoda.
Oh boy.
I got a sniper though, so I should be alright.
Yeah, I never played Battlefront 1, so I don't know how bad it is.
It's super unbalanced. Like, it's ridiculous how unbalanced it is.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, they're using a leader, and it's gonna be Yoda. I said that already,
Yeah.
but...
Fortunately, Yoda can only be in one place at once, and, well, he'll go down eventually.
Well, if I'm shooting him from a distance, he'll go down pretty quickly.
Also, Heartless Soy Boy asks, do you like any COD games, SO?
No. When Modern Warfare was the only one, it was fine, but now they're just super repetitive and boring. Like, just the concept of Call of Duty, like, you can even go back to Modern Warfare 1 and it's still boring.
They kind of ran that franchise into the ground pretty hard.
I mean, they really did.
I remember back in, when it was the Halo Killer. Turns out that, well, they both kind of just killed themselves. But yeah, like, my only exposure to Call of Duty was my brother used to play, and when he used to play, like, he was a god. Like, this was in the days of Modern Warfare 2. He would consistently get, like, a KD of 3 to 4 every game. He, like, really went try hard. He could reliably get a nuke every match. It was actually very impressive.
Wonder where Yoda is.
Did he spawn yet?
I haven't seen him.
Yeah, but usually there's like an announcement or something.
Not like it matters, because they're still gonna lose from the looks of it.
Yeah, I mean, the moment you get the fourth command post, it's pretty much over.
Some maps have it so it's pretty easy to get a fourth command post, or there are some command posts, you know, there are like 8 command posts per map.
Yeah, but I mean, like, once you get the majority of them, their reinforcement count just depletes over time.
Yeah.
And by then, it's like, doesn't matter if you have the most powerful hero unit in the game. When there's like one of you left and 60 of the enemy, you're not gonna pull that off. Unless you're Darth Maul and it's Polis Massa.
Or like what I just did on Coruscant with Darth Maul. Darth Maul is just the most overpowered character in the game.
Well, what it is like his lightsaber throw has an insane hitbox.
Well, it's a bigger lightsaber.
Yeah.
He's very agile, and his lightsaber throw has a huge hitbox. That pretty much sums it up.
Sounds about right. Good lord, these poor clones. I feel so bad for them. There's just like this one droid like half a mile away that's just like knocking him down one by one.
And as they retreat, I follow them.
Just like this one droid that just destroys them all. There's 2 left. Soyboy asks, this might be a personal question, but did your family freak out when they found out you're an anarchist?
No. Not really. I've had a lot of stupid disagreements with them. By stupid, I mean they've argued stupid things, but they freak out. They didn't understand at first, but I presume when you say freak out, you mean like have a cartoonish overreaction. Kind of like that video uploaded like 10 years ago of that kid admitting to his parents that he's an atheist and they freak out. Have you seen that one? You go to church and you told the minister that you believed in God. Stop lying. It's fucking... No, it wasn't anything like that. If that's what you mean. By freaking out.
Yeah. I think I don't know if I mentioned this on a stream or anything before. I mentioned it on Discord several times that yeah, my family knows that I'm anarchist. In fact, they watch my videos.
Yeah,
in fact, they like my videos.
I have a couple family members who watch mine, so I've, got a similar situation going on.
Yeah, my mom is like, I've been working on her for years. She's almost anarchist. Like, she's right there.
I've been working on my mom.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it sounds really funny still.
Yeah.
Watch those what? Sorry, you died too fast. Couldn't finish that.
So, yeah, I've been trying to convince her for a couple years now about anarchism and, like, almost there. She just needs, like, she has a lot of emotional resistance for some reason. Like, it's not like she's loves the state or anything. It's just like,
it's cognitive dissonance.
It's just like the black pill's a tough pill to swallow, and like, she has to have that big pivot point, or she can't really ever consider the state again. Like, something like really big needs to shock her, I think. But she's like right there. My dad is he's been a conservative since he was 8.
Yeah, that's the problem with most people. They've been statists so long, it's sort of become part of their identity. So challenging their political views becomes basically fucking glitch lightsaber throw. But anyway, it basically becomes like part of their identity, so challenging their political views becomes the same as challenging part of them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what's funny is that, like, although my family is conservative, they are not Trump supporters at all.
Cucks!
What?
Oh no, because that's something that, like, MAGA-tards will say in a situation like that. They'll call you a cuck.
Yeah, as far as they're concerned, Trump is not conservative enough.
You're selling out to the liberals. That's what they'll say.
Well, they think that Trump's too liberal, which...
It's hilarious. Yeah, see, I mean, just that little dichotomy there, where, yeah, one group can think the other is too much of this arbitrary category, and the other group can think the same thing. That should really just, show that, well, these are arbitrary categories made up by the state to try and divide people, and to convince them that the state operates in their interests, so that they use the state to suppress other groups. Turns it into a sort of, yeah, it turns it into a zero-sum game, but it's really not.
Yeah, I mean, what's funny is that, like, I remember I was in the car with my dad, I think it was a few years ago. Like, I think my YouTube channel was pretty young at the time, but, we ended up going into a impromptu debate about taxation, and he said that taxation wasn't theft. I proceeded to just absolutely dismantle his argument. Like, just...
Yeah, Dad.
I don't think I have ever owned anyone as hard as I did that time, ever. And now, like, he just doesn't want to talk to me about this stuff anymore. Whenever I try to bring it up, he's like, yeah, I don't want to talk about it right now.
I mean, there are some topics where I've got people in my family that are the same. Military, for example. It's pretty easy to refute that one. Decentralized militia groups and community security. That's just objectively better. I mean, if you look
also,
at any
I can
time,
guarantee you the last guys are in tanks on the exterior. Just go to the hangar and pick up a tank, start shooting.
yeah, that's exactly where they are. But I'm Darth Maul right now, so.
Yeah, if you go outside without a tank. Gotta support my troops. I mean, we're not a military family at all, so there's nothing like about that. Alright, Heartless Soy Boy asks, do you play Counter-Strike?
I downloaded it, but I haven't played it because I updated the files, but yeah, the version when I downloaded it had a glitch where none of the bullets that I would fire would actually hit other people in the games. And even though I found out what fixed that, you know, that sort of put me off for a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Logan Looker asks me, did you try showing her, my mom, all the messed up things the US government, like kill animals, brainwashing, and how they tried to build forced labor camps? That's a very tricky thing to do, simply because, like, if you go too hard too fast, it raises their defense mechanisms, and it's really hard to have a conversation with them.
Yeah, you mean the forced labor camps that, you know, are functioning? Because you know that the U.S. does have forced labor camps.
They're called prisons.
No, I mean, like, there are, like, the migrants, like, the immigrants that are attempting to come over the border. It's pretty much confirmed that they're put into forced labor by the U.S. government. Some of them are.
I actually had not heard that. Not that one specifically. I've heard of FEMA camps. I haven't looked into that in years, actually.
And then there's also those black sites which exist in federal prisons, which you could only imagine the sort of stuff going on there. Ross Ulbricht is in one of those, so is Ted Kaczynski, but Ted Kaczynski is not comparable to Ross Ulbricht. I mean, that guy is actually a shithead, but still, they put political prisoners in there is the point.
Yeah, I know about those. It's absolutely disgusting. Just keep your sniper scope trained on that turret.
Or any of them.
Any of them. They get into the seat, pop. But yeah, it's like, you try to go too hard too fast and, like, their mental defenses go up. Like, oh no, the government would never do that. That's just propaganda. That's made up. That's this. That's that.
Yeah, that's...
Typically, you gotta slowly introduce that kind of thing over time. Get them used to the idea that the government is not acting in people's interest.
But yeah, I've been talking about that for a while, that it's been demonstrated that if you present somebody something that conflicts with their preconceived political views, their brain will associate it with pain, basically. Not necessarily pain, but discomfort. So, and that's exactly what happens when you do that. When you just completely go all in and destroy their worldview, you may win the debate if you're on stage, but you're not going to change their mind. Guarantee you, the moment that they stop talking to you, they're not going to actually question themselves. What they're going to do is think of ways which they could convince themselves that you're not right. And it doesn't matter how thoroughly you deconstruct their worldview, unless you get them to question themselves, they're going to find a way to reinforce their own views.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, when I say like my mom's almost there, I am at the point where I can share with her police brutality stories and stuff about like work about black sites and labor camps, and it's not like such a big shock to her. It's like she kind of understands that this is the stuff that the state does constantly now. So, yeah, it just takes a little bit of patience. But let's see here. Logan Looker says, I heard from an anarchist that US tried to build Nazi-style camps and have the police be the ones who would run it. And you're right, Filthy, you have to open their eyes slowly.
Oh yeah, it was called the M Project. If you're referring, it depends on which one you're referring to, because yeah, FDR had a proposed plan, which yeah would have had the U.S. government round up Jews and put them into labor camps, and it was called the M Project. Look it up. I'm not even making that up. Well, I don't make shit.
I've
I don't
never,
make shit up, but yeah, look into that.
I
FDR
have
M
not heard that
Project.
before.
Yeah,
I mean,
they basically the U.S. government had initially taken in like their approach to trying to combat Nazi Germany or to try and cool relations during World War II was to basically accept the Nazi premise that Jews had to be physically removed, and that's initially what their approach to that was either deporting them or opening up concentration camps to house the Jews that were living in the United States in, which
yeah, here we
probably
go. There's an exhibit. I'm reading an article right now. Apparently, like, this is to add to the credibility of this Project M, it's been added as an exhibit to the Holocaust Museum in the United States. So if they think it's credible, anyways, just looking through it. Yeah, apparently this was kept in FDR's personal safe and wasn't released until like decades after his death.
well, I could see why he hid it away.
Yeah. Basically, it looks like they just wanted to have the Jews be deported to literally anywhere else in the world besides the United States.
Oh, I have no idea why I chose the leader bonus. Well, it's because they chose the sabotage bonus, and yeah, a reinforced garrison's not going to be good enough for that.
Why is it on my screen Dooku's holding a yellow lightsaber?
Um, no, it's in game too. It's this graphical setting that I have. I have the graphics mod for it, so the textures look higher quality. And yeah, apparently on the older models that translates to Dooku's lightsaber glowing yellow. Yellowish. It's still pretty red, but
I mean, if you turn it a certain way, it does look red, but when you're out in the light, it is a completely different color. Oh, right, I remember that. What you do as Dooku is you climb onto the ATTE and you just slash the turret.
yeah, that's what I was gonna do.
God, I remember doing that. That was fantastic.
Oh. Oh, okay, I thought I was gonna die there.
There's Dooku. After him. We are being flanked. We've got droids.
There are. Logan Looker says there are actually yellow and orange lightsabers in Star Wars comics. Yeah, there are.
Not in
In
Battlefront
fact,
2, though.
Yeah, I think Ashoka in Star Wars Rebels had a yellow lightsaber. It looks like she had a green and a yellow lightsaber. And in Knights of the Republic, you can get yellow lightsabers. I mean, I think Bastila had a yellow lightsaber. The Bloody Bush Dimension asks, am I valid in thinking of fascism as extreme statism, or from our perspective, is every state fascist?
There's no real ethical difference between any sort of state or any. There's just different models in which the states attempt to organize their economies. Because essentially, the way in which statists will attempt to argue that fascism is so awful, oh, well, the state could just do whatever it wanted under fascism. People didn't have any rights, it was all determined by the state. Yeah, that's pretty awful. I won't disagree with you, but the problem is, if you're a statist, you don't have whatever model of government you advocate for doesn't have any sort of safeguard against that. There's nothing stopping your government from doing the exact same thing, and I think the United States is a great example of this. The United States was the best attempt to, the most famous and modern attempt to establish a quote-unquote liberal republic in all of history, and now you've got the government opening up forced labor camps and doing the shit which we're going to be showing in our new video, which we haven't put out yet. By the way, there's going to be a new video tomorrow. And I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter, how familiarized you are with the state's atrocities, you're not ready for what's going to be in tomorrow's video.
You are not prepared. No, it's. I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if it'll be done tomorrow. So.
I just noticed that.
Edit.
I just noticed that Dooku's lightsaber isn't curved. Shame.
I think it's not the blade itself that's curved, just the hilt.
Yeah, the hilt isn't curved is what I mean.
Oh, yeah, that's an abomination. Yeah, my response to the question of fascism is that obviously not every state is fascist. Fascism at least should have a pretty distinct definition that makes it different than, say, a liberal democracy or a monarchy.
Yeah, the economic model creates different. Well, it doesn't create different incentives, but it motivates them the state in question to function differently.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, they have to expand their control over all of society from the get-go in order to even try that, which is why most states don't try command economies. It's not because command economies, it's not because if it did work, you could bet that the state would be operating under a command economy. It's that, things like the economic calculation problem exist, and, if you try a command economy, you're going to fail pretty hard.
Well, it's not. It's the command economy can't work. In order to actually pull it off, you need information that doesn't exist in a command economy.
Doesn't exist in any economy.
I mean, it exists in a free market economy, but if you're going for a free market economy, you can't have a command economy.
How to calculate human action? You can't do that with a.
No.
Yeah, you can't do that in any economy. You have supply and demand curves, which sort of show generalized market trends that makes it a bit easier to know how to, that gives you a generalized idea of how to distribute your resources. But, no, I wouldn't argue that it's possible under any economy.
But anyways, definition of fascism. I think the best definition for fascism is, the state being being the most important thing in culture.
Not culture, it's just everything operates around the state for the state's interests pretty explicitly, or at least that's how a lot of statists will attempt to define it. And they're not wrong, I mean, but that is more what fascism is. That's what separates it, is the state attempting to define a sort of culture around the state. But yeah, this is a point that a lot of statists will attempt to make, whether they're conservatives or SJWs. But it's not a point which anyone other than the anarchists can make, at least with any sort of consistency. The reason why that is the point that they're attempting to make is that this one brand of statism, which they've attempted to identify themselves as universally bad, or has been pretty popularly identified as being bad, is identical to the form of statism which the groups that work against their interests are in line with, and therefore everyone else should be afraid of them and work in their interests, because otherwise you're going to get this one organization which is explicitly not in the interests of every average person. The problem with that is that there's no brand of statism which operates in any other interests other than those of the politicians running it. So yeah, the only group that can actually make this argument, like for example, when conservatives argue that socialism is just like fascism, now ideologically they're not wrong. Fascism is derived from socialism, but I mean, yeah, regardless of whatever semantic positions you're able to point out, the fact of the matter is, even if it, regardless of whether or not it's true, it's an argument which conservatives can't consistently make. And the reason that they can't consistently make this point is because, yeah, their system has the exact, their idea of how the state should work has the exact same problems. Same goes for socialists, or yeah, the other groups who would try and argue that conservatism is like fascism or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Logan Looker asks, could Ancapism work in the Star Wars universe?
I mean, I don't even know how there are... I mean, well, I obviously know how there are governments in the Star Wars universe because it's fiction, and it's the whole storyline is conceived of by someone who doesn't have a very firm grasp on politics. But no, in order for any sort of civilization to scale out the way that the Star Wars one has, you literally would not have been able to develop intergalactic travel, because yeah, if you were able to do that, it would be basically impossible for governments to collect revenue, because it would be so easy to get around the government.
Even...
What were you gonna say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, even in the Star Wars unit, like one of the things I said in my the aliens question video is that the lack of FTL makes escaping the state incredibly simple. In the Star Wars universe, FTL travel and communications is incredibly common. However, that said, there is a pretty big issue in the sense that, like, in order to get away from the state, all you have to do is just find a new hyperspace route, which actually isn't that hard. All you have to do is just get a bunch of probe droids, equip them with hyperdrives, and then send them on proposed hyperspace routes. I mean, travel is done along very well-traveled highways, hyperspace lanes. So if you can find a new one to a new planet that literally only you know about, it's going to be very easy to get away. Not to mention, it's like vast swaths of the galaxy are actually completely unexplored. I'm not even talking about the unknown regions, just like the mid-rim and the outer rim. And also, yeah, HUD space exists, but That's the that's basically just a mafia.
May not even
Which
need
is-
to dedicate a second stream to Galactic Conquest because we're taking Naboo now. Only have 2 planets left.
Which is unfortunate because those are the 2 most annoying planets to capture in the game.
Fuck, I don't remember which ones were left. It was Felucia
Yavin.
and Yavin. Okay.
Yeah, but I always hated the Felucia map.
Yeah, same. Especially during the campaign.
Yeah, that was just not. That's just not a fun map. I don't even know how they came up with that map. I mean, I guess Felucia does have one, and that's basically the command post that's on top of a giant stump.
Yeah, it's generally the last one you take if you even get to it.
Yeah. But yeah, when I played this game, it was just like that was the one I dreaded going the most. Logan Looker asks, "Have you ever played the Dishonored game series?"
No, I have not. I probably should, though.
You can probably get an emulator, or the Steam Summer Sale's coming up if you want, if you're okay with paying money.
Yeah, I think by July I'll have a bit more, because my problem right now is I'm not really in a position where I can be making as much as I could have months back. The state's caught on to the fact that I'm 3D printing bump stock, so they don't accept them anymore, even if I do just send somebody in with them. So, because that's what I started doing, is I started paying people to go do it. So yeah, they don't take plastic ones anymore, which is stupid. So that means they don't take most bump stocks.
Is there a way you can travel to, I don't know, another county?
I haven't tried that, so I probably could. I mean, the good news the good news in that regard is I live in an area where the next county over is not even 5 miles away, so yeah, I should be able to do that pretty easily.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's a county thing. I can't imagine that the entire state of your state knows who you are and what you're doing. Hell, you might even be able to go to another, like, put 3D printed bumps, or put your bump stocks here station. I doubt they're all communicating with each other. But I imagine, like, you go in with just like, yeah, I have 250 bump stocks.
Yeah, they only take 5 per person because of me. I mean, I don't know if it is because of me, but I know that I did that a few times, and then it was in the news. They announced they were only taking 5 per person. So, yeah, it was probably because of me.
If it's on the news, then I have to assume, like, yeah, that's everywhere. Still, give it a bit of time and go to a different county and see how they react.
Where's the last one, I wonder? Oh, never mind.
There's 2 guys left.
No, it's done now.
Logan Looker asks, have you ever played Republic Commando?
Yeah, like, it was a long time ago, though. Didn't really get too into that one, though. Yeah, leader and garrison bonus, for the most part, are the only really useful bonuses. Maybe
I found
enhanced blasters, but
I've used auto turrets before. It's useful that like it stops enemies from taking command posts. It's just useful. Also because the AI is too stupid and doesn't know how to hit them.
You can set one of those up with a sniper, though.
Yeah, but these are permanent, and you don't have to deploy them at all. You can just leave and forget them. The Bloody Bush Dimension asks, is counter-economics the only foreseeable path towards liberty?
Pretty much.
Obviously, there are other propositions, but counter-econ seems to be the only legit method.
I mean, it really is, because fundamentally, how you get rid of the state and how you undermine its influence is by setting up networks of competition for it, which it's not capable of controlling. And at that point, even ignoring, the problems I've already brought up with revolutions or any sort of, violent action, like voting or whatever, even barring those, there's no real point on doing anything else, because the only thing fundamentally which you need in order to undermine the state is to compete with it, or to make it so it's impossible for it to establish a monopoly on certain resources, and it's impossible to coercively collect revenue from people.
I think that there are other paths that could be achieved towards achieving liberty. However, none of them are as viable as agorism.
Well,
I mean, in theory, you can vote the state away.
but that's the point. If you're engaging in counter-economics, what's going to get rid of the state is not, that you voted, it's that you made it so the state's not able to collect revenue, so what's the point?
Oh yeah, like, that's why I said, like, it's by far the most viable method. One, you don't require...
Yeah, you're just...
Like, literally nobody has to be an ideological agorist in order for it to put it off. That's probably the most beautiful part.
But yeah, if you're voting to get rid of... All that does is any other method outside of counter-economics, while you're relying on counter-economics to get rid of the state, just wastes time and resources which could otherwise be applied to getting rid of the state faster with counter-economics.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the fact that you don't need people to ideologically agree with you in order for this to happen, I think that's probably... I mean, that sets, like, even in comparison to any other ideology, that not only makes anarchism more practical, but it makes counter-economics more practical as a means of achieving anarchism. Because every ideology sort of presupposes that in its system everyone's going to ideologically align with it, and that's sort of like a statist projection that they'll put onto anarchists. In order for anarchy to work, everyone has to ideologically be an anarchist. No. That's one of the greatest things about anarchy, is it's the only system that doesn't work that way. Well, it's the only society. I don't know if I'd characterize it as a system.
I mean, it's I tell people that anarchism is anti-political.
I think that's a good way to put it.
Mm-hmm. And I also tell them that's like, I often get confronted with, "Oh, you anarchists are so utopian."
Yeah,
like,
that's what I mean. The people who argue that are the people who say, "Oh, well, in order for an anarchy to exist, everyone has to ideologically be an anarchist."
And that's why you deploy auto turrets.
Yeah, they deployed auto turrets, but still they lost. Because we had the garrison bonus.
I don't think the lack of a garrison bonus would have helped them.
Probably not. 90 away from being able to afford a Magna Guard. Yeah, I think if this continues, I'm just gonna say screw it and get a Magna Guard.
I mean, are they really worth it?
Not really, but it's more entertaining.
Fair enough.
Oh, nice.
Space battle.
And they have a sabotage bonus.
Oh boy.
Whatever, I'll just do the same thing I did last time. If I can, that is. Oh yeah, this isn't gonna work. Okay, so that's where another... I wasn't even really thinking about it, because like I said early on, I'm not really a huge fan of, you know, the space battles. I'll do them, but whatever. But yeah, the sabotage bonus is useful, I guess, in space battles.
Isn't it just like completely nerfed? Yeah, like they have no health. Deployed then destroyed.
I mean, pretty much.
Heartless Soy Boy asks.
And we're still ahead of them.
That's sad. Kyle Collins or Heartless Soy Boy asks, how much do I need to pay you to call Kyle Kolinsky on his show and debate him?
Oh, he takes call-ins? I'll do it for free, but yeah, you need to. I didn't even know that he took call-ins.
I think I've heard the name before.
Kyle Kolinsky, Secular Talk. That guy.
Yeah. Mr. Dapperton asks, how old is this game?
2005. That's when it came out. October of 2005. I remember getting it, like, pretty shortly after it came out.
I think I got it in 2006. But yeah, the Bloody Bush Dimension asks, unfortunately, Counter Econ is too slow and elaborate for most to understand,
No, it's not.
let alone agree with.
Okay, sorry, I should have let you finish, or I should have let Filthy finish reading your comment. Yeah, for most people to understand what it'll do, I mean, yeah, most people aren't going to ideologically become anarchists or understand what's going on. But yeah, regardless, it's going to accomplish its goals. Well, our goals.
I mean, counter economics is incredibly simple. It's just going to the store and buying milk. Except you're not paying taxes on the milk. There's nothing really that elaborate about it. It's actually very simple.
Yeah, I mean, counter economics can't work. Well, I mean, you know, how do you think innovations happen? That's basically what counter economics is. It's the natural conclusion of speculating with resources. Oh shit. I hit the bottom of the fucking door there.
Oof. Oop. Well, I mean, they were correct when they said bomber incoming.
Well, you've got a droid, but okay.
I think you just destroyed the medical droid.
Yeah, I did.
This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill.
I wonder if they say that every time there's a drill.
Yeah, I wonder.
The time bombs. It's just. Kajoltad says, but as tech increases, the state actually ends up with more ways to control us, like mass surveillance.
No, it has. There are more things which exist, but the thing is, as more things end up developing, first of all, the older means of association and communication sort of fall out of favor. You know, you don't have anyone using buggy whips anymore, or if they do, it's purely for the novelty. But also, as you develop more efficient means of communication, the means of communication and the products which are produced that develop, which come along, they end up, by necessity, being more efficient. You know, that's something I really don't understand, how people, you know, aren't, you know, they had a hard time with that in my video, about the Austrian case against wage labor. In order for something to become prominent in society, it has to be more efficient or profitable, in most cases both. Or if it is more efficient, it will necessarily be more profitable than the previous means of associating. So, yeah, you don't have more means of control, you just have more things that exist, but the things that come into existence are more difficult to control. I think the internet has shown that pretty concisely.
Yeah, I would say so.
You have open source development now. You have, you have 3D printers, which can be a thing. Well, they're not digital, but they utilize file sharing quite heavily. That's why they're so devastating for the state. So I guess you just have file sharing, and now you have these blockchain networks where the state literally can't do anything about it.
All heads to battle stations.
So yeah, there's more, but okay, I'm repeating myself now, but I think I've made my point pretty clearly though.
Yeah. Let's see here. Logan Looker asks, what's worst? What's worse, fascism or communism?
I mean, I sort of already answered that earlier in the stream. One's not worse than the other, they're just different economic models. But yeah, the point is that statism is awful.
This is not a drill. Repeat.
Pretty much. I mean, I guess the best way I could answer that is that communism, I mean, it's mostly just an economic model, and the system of just like everybody having communal property, the stateless, classless, moneyless society is compatible with voluntarism. Fascism is not.
Well, certain firms that organize and manage their resources like that, yeah, they can be voluntary. They'll never actually be more efficient or better, you know, but they will exist, I'm sure, mainly because of
Definitely.
psychic profits, or simply you have these incredibly select economies of scale where worker cooperatives can be more profitable and they can provide more, or mutual aid firms.
Mm-hmm. Kajoltad says, I will take fascism because at least they have food. Communism only ends with you being bulldozed into a pit after starving to death with your entire family.
If you had fascism a bit longer, you look at some of the more obscure examples, I mean, they really just end up killing people before they can run out of food, but, you know, a fascist economy has more or less the same problem with a socialist economy. They're both command economies. You're both going to end up with one central firm mismanaging resources.
Attention. All second stage.
And if that's why it's important, or at least that's one reason why it's important to note the fact that fascism is at least very heavily inspired by socialism. That's where it's, you know, that's where it gets its inspiration from, is the command economy. I probably didn't say that. I probably didn't say that right, but I mean, I think I made my point pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, my response was just going to be that that the fascist states didn't stay around long enough that we could actually see them starving to death. I'm sure given enough time that they definitely would. It would probably actually be as bad, if not worse, than communism. But they didn't, like, they only last like 10, 15 years tops.
This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a
Alright, question. Why does the droid ship have life support systems?
That is a good question. Probably because not everyone on board's a droid. I don't know.
Yeah, but you can just give them personal life support systems, like the spacesuit. There's no reason to waste resources on life support systems that the overwhelming majority of your crew is not going to use.
I mean, fair enough. Probably gonna run into problems with YouTube because of the names of some of my save files.
I actually wasn't paying attention.
Well, you've got Nuck Figures and you've got Nate and you've got Nate Higgers.
Beautiful. And we got a few more space battles.
We got another one coming up, but after this, it's just gonna be these last two planets.
Dude.
How long have I been streaming? I'm not even checking the time right now.
2 hours and 20 minutes.
Okay, 3-hour streams, not unheard of. Oh, they had a lot more turrets this time.
Heartless Soyboy asks, do you watch Game of Thrones?
Not very closely, but yeah, it's one of the things that's on TV in my house pretty regularly when I occasionally will leave my room to go get some water or something.
Yeah, I've only seen like a few bits and pieces of it. Never actually sat down and watched it. Though I was dragged into sitting down and watching that battle with the White Walkers in Season 8.
I just like that because somebody finally killed one of those fucking dragons. It's one of the things I hate about that series. It's that Mary Sue Daenerys. Surprised no one else is calling that out.
I mean, she's dead now.
Good.
Yeah, she just went full tyrant for some reason. And people are calling it like one of the most unsatisfactory character arc conclusions ever.
Well, I never liked the character anyway, so...
I mean, that's fine. But I mean, like...
Daenerys Sue. I think that's what people should start calling her.
As I said, like, I haven't really watched the show, but I still, like... I think I made my dislike of that battle with the White Walkers well known. Like, just the absolute boneheaded tactics that the living used. Why do you put your artillery in the front lines? Why would you do that?
Haven't seen it, so at least that battle, so I don't have any commentary on it.
Why do you put your artillery in the front lines? What were you thinking? Yeah, everyone's recommending that you also bring the dropship into the hangar.
I think I will do that next time. But yeah, this is definitely the best strat.
Just pistol droid.
Yeah. Well, I could have had the marine droid, but I'm not going to bother wasting my resources on it.
Don't they use the same amount of resources?
You have to buy them, and they're like 800 credits.
Oh.
Oh my god, I ran out of... This would have been great had I not run out of fucking... Yeah,
oh god.
bombs.
I see where this is going. At least it would have gone had you not used all your time bombs.
Yeah. I didn't
Don't take as many
honestly.
as you can with you.
Yeah, I didn't even know that the AIs did that, but apparently they'll start chasing after you if you go into the, yeah, if you go into the cooling room of their ship, which makes sense, but. This is. Oh, this is awesome.
The Bloody Bush Dimension says, it's funny. The CIS were the good guys from a very skewed perspective. As
Not.
much as I loved pre-Disney Star Wars, it has very basic narratives with obvious social political commentary. Which, I mean, from even a cursory understanding, yeah, the CIS were the good guys.
Pretty much.
They were basically just off-worlders, or there's like outer worlders in the mid-rim and outer rim, people who were previously colonists, just basically wanted to have a better life for themselves. And then the Republic just started like, yeah, we're gonna take all your money now. Why? Because we feel like it. And so when they decided, like, hey, you know what? The planet of Naboo was able to fight off the Trade Federation, the motherfucking Trade Federation. Maybe we actually can do this. Why are you throwing your time bombs there?
Because I was destroying their engine.
The engine part is the glowy green bit right behind you.
Yeah. Well, it was still doing damage, if you could see the health bar.
Splash damage.
This is such a cheese strat, but
It's the cheese strats are usually the best strats. Oh, you're gonna. That's not good. Oh, you're in. Heartless Soyboy asks, "Do you watch Bathrobe Dwayne?"
you know I do. Kind of
Can you
question
prove
is
it?
that? Why do I need to prove it?
Potatoes.
I'm always linking videos of Bathrobe Dwayne in my server anyway.
Those auto turrets are so annoying.
Oh yeah, that one move got like nearly 100 points, and this is gonna be the end. Okay, I only got one of them. Very disappointing.
I think I got launched. These poor guys, they were bred specifically to be killed just by you.
I haven't won once yet. Hold on.
Alright, Mr. Dapperton asks, what's Esso's favorite movie and why?
I gotta be completely honest, I don't think a whole lot about movies. So I don't even really, you know, I would have to think for a bit about that, to be completely honest. Favorite movie?
Yeah, Logan, you look for a dropship. I didn't see one either.
I don't think the Confederacy has a dropship. I think that's just
Yes,
the Republic.
No, all factions do.
Alright.
It's just like it's a different model.
I was gambling. I was hoping it was Darth Maul.
Who is it?
The hero is Darth Maul on this map.
That's good.
Yeah, any map where Darth Maul is the hero character is good.
I mean, it's a pretty open map, so you can't really use Darth Maul to his full potential.
I mean, still satisfying to watch, though. I'm sure.
What's your favorite TV show and why? Asked by Mag with Daily Hotties.
I gotta be honest, I'm not, like, there are shows that I certainly enjoy more than others, but I'm not really a big TV enthusiast. You know, I guess I'm gonna have to go ahead and go off of the ones that I watch the most. I've been really getting into Xavier Renegade Angel lately. I'm not even... That show is awesome. But yeah, some of my other favorites are Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Super Jail's pretty good as well. I guess that sort of gives a general idea of what my tastes are like.
Mm-hmm. And he also asks, what's your favorite thing to research and why?
Well, I like researching economics, and I like researching certain political theories, especially, yeah, the ones that I don't really, you know, the ones that I'm not really in agreement with, and that's because what I found particularly with brands of political theory like Marxism is that a lot of the proponents of it don't even understand their own ideas. So I love bringing it up in conversations when they say something along the lines of, "Well, central banks, that's capitalism." Well, actually, the Communist Manifesto pretty explicitly states that a communist society is going to have a central bank.
It's literally one of the planks.
Or, you know, when they bring up the falling rate of profit, not expecting a response, and, you know, I mentioned the fact that Marx's justification for it is absolute garbage. Basically, whenever he gets faced with a contradiction of his ideas, he'll just say, "Oh, well, those, you know, that doesn't contradict my theory, that's a countervailing tendency. And that confirms my
What the hell does that
theory."
even mean?
He didn't define it, but basically a countervailing tendency, very broadly, is just whenever the rate of profit, so to speak, you know, aside from the fact there really isn't a rate of profit, but according to the Marxist worldview, when the rate of profit ends up, you know, it doesn't consistently decline, it increases for whatever period it increases for. It's basically just an ex machina Marx created for himself that he could mention whenever someone points out the fact that, yeah, the profit margins are not declining with innovation.
But what even is profit
Yeah,
to them?
the reason why there's... Yeah, that's the biggest problem with the idea of a rate of profit is that it assumes that cost, well, not cost, but yeah, cost and value are the same thing. Or that, yeah, price and value are the same thing.
Considering that they operate under the framework of the labor theory of value, you're not going to be able to get a proper cost benefit, or even just like be able to properly measure the rate of profit at all.
Which that's, yeah, aside from the dog shit political ideas and implications that it carries, that's one of the biggest problems with Marxism is just as an analysis, it's limited and it's not the best model to analyze profit structures and how to run your business. I mean, and that's been shown by these businesses which have opened up as co-ops or under mutual aid models, which tried Marx's theories in analyzing how to distribute their resources, and they ended up, you know, going out of business not even a year later.
I think there was this one restaurant. No, it wasn't a restaurant.
It was like
they did.
It was like a vegan burger shop in somewhere in Michigan. There's one example. That's the one that I'm thinking of off the top of my head.
There's this one place, I think it was in Seattle, where they paid all their employees exactly $70,000 an hour. Not an hour, a year. And
that didn't work out. But what I was also about to get to is, you know, that seems to be the idea proposed by Marxists, is that you need the labor theory of value or cost theory of value to be true, even for, you know, if that was true, then it would be impossible to argue for free market econ or libertarianism. But, I mean, as Lysander, Spooner, and Tucker proved, that's not true. They argued pretty consistently for free market econ, even though they were pre-marginalists.
Alright, and let's see, Mag asks, what's your favorite crypto, or a few favorites?
Litecoin and Dash. They have the best scaling networks that I've seen so far out of any cryptocurrencies, and
Oh, gunship.
okay. But yeah, they have the best scaling networks, and they don't have the problem that Bitcoin has. Bitcoin's problem being that it once the network it operates in becomes active enough, what'll happen is that you'll get higher transaction fees, and you'll get slower network times. That's because it gets to the point where each block is writing so much data that the network's not really able to handle it. So it has to compensate by increasing processing power, and it does that by redistributing more of your transaction. That's gonna always be a problem for Bitcoin. Maybe not so much Bitcoin Cash, but Bitcoin Classic. But Bitcoin is always gonna have that problem.
I hear that they're building a new infrastructure for Bitcoin Classic to make it more scalable. Get rid of that those problem with high transaction fees.
No, Bitcoin Classic is a separate cryptocurrency from Bitcoin.
Okay, never mind then. Let's see here. Favorite handgun?
I own a Beretta 40. I also modified a Liberator with a metal handle, with a metal barrel, so that it doesn't break after one shot.
Excellent.
And I'm in the process of making a Shuddy AP9, which is the other most popular kind of 3D printable gun.
Isn't that like the spiritual successor to the Liberator?
It's the spiritual successor to the Shuddy MP1.
Which I don't know much about that.
It basically it's a hybrid gun. It uses plastic printable parts, but it also uses gun store parts.
Nice. Favorite Star Wars character?
Dooku's pretty underrated. I like him, I think, probably just because there are a bunch of people who like him, don't get me wrong, but compared to other characters, he doesn't get much love.
I would say probably Kreia from Knights of the Old Republic 2.
I'd probably have to think a bit more about that again, because it's not really something I think much about, but... But yeah, I mentioned that to an earlier question, what do I like to research a lot? I mentioned economics. I've also started getting into researching genetic research because of CRISPR, because CRISPR came along, and now that's it's a lot easier for people to get into genetic modification. And also, I've sort of been getting into network and coding as well, because of FNet and also my OpenSlayer project, which, for those who weren't watching earlier, is a private server which I created for an old MMO called Windslayer, which went offline back in 2011.
Kachotad asks, do you ever think of having a community game night, like a multiplayer game with the viewers?
Oh, sure, I could do that. I don't know about... It's probably not going to be June 2019 stream, because I just remembered as well. For the last week or two of June and the first week of July, I'm not going to be near my computer. I have different plans for the June 2019 patron stream. And by different plans, I mean I'm probably going to do a bit of urban exploring, but
Alright.
the story behind that is, yeah, back when, I don't know if you guys know much about the band Static X, but they recently, as in like the metal band, they got together and they announced that they're putting out a new album, and they're also touring again, and the first couple tour dates which they announced weren't going to be anywhere near where I live, so yeah, I started looking for people online who are YouTubers that I know who lived anywhere near where any of these concerts were happening, and needless to say, I managed to actually find someone who lived near one of these concerts and was actually willing to have me over for a week or so and go see the concert. So yeah, that's the reason, that's the story behind that.
Serious question. Do you hate him?
Do I hate who? The person I'm staying with? Fuck no.
No. Do you hate him?
Oh, tryhards?
You hate him.
I don't know if I want to say that, because I could get my channel taken down.
This is not a drill.
Logan asks, have you ever heard of the P.A. Ludi submachine gun?
Yes, I
Or
have.
Luddy?
I have a PDF of his book, actually.
Nice. Like, I don't know anything about that. Like, what's up with it?
Back when the UK band did their gun ban, some guy named P.A. Ludi decided to create a bunch of recipes for guns to undermine the government's ban. Basically, it was showing how to make guns with parts that you could get at a hardware store. And, yeah, needless to say, he became an enemy of the state, so I don't even know if I even needed to mention that, because I think that's sort of obvious. He wasn't killed, though. They sent him to prison, but he died of old age. Not in prison. I think he was only sentenced to like 10 years or so. He died recently. It was like 2012, I think.
Still, though.
All his health. They're in an area I can't reach. Oh yeah, this is not very well programmed AI right here, but it's an old game, so whatever.
They're just getting picked off one by one.
Yeah, to be fair, this map it was a bit harder to get inside their ship. So
Well, what it is like those point defense frigates. Coach Tad asks if you're playing on normal mode or elite mode.
yeah, I'm playing on
Well,
Elite. I think I had it set to Elite last time I remember. I don't think I am though. I gotta be completely honest. Let me check the settings really quick. Nope. Okay. Well, let's set it to Elite. That's kind of embarrassing. Yeah, like I said, I don't like playing on normal. Maybe now this will be a bit more of a challenge.
Turns out that all the enemies now have automatic rocket launchers. Suddenly, the Imperium of Man from Warhammer 40k became a faction.
No, they're just gonna have better aim. That's what happens on Elite.
Yeah.
They fire more and they have better aim.
I mean, that's something. But they're still vulnerable to cheese.
Well, yeah, they're still not very well programmed AIs.
Mag asks, what are your guys' plans for tomorrow?
Well, like I said, I was pretty sure that we were gonna upload a video. Filthy said it might not be up tomorrow, but I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna be a 20+ minute video. Those things take one way or another.
No, I understand. It takes a long time for me to make those too, and those have been all my videos lately. Oh my god, he's just following me.
Who's following you?
That one fucking Marine.
I'm pretty sure he's gone now. They're on the other side of the ship.
Unable to evade enemy. Assistance required.
Alright, is anyone else asking anything in the chat? Or...
What do you think about the 9/11 and JFK theories?
Well, I would have to hear more about the counter argument on the JFK side of the story. I know for 9/11 though that it's way more than, well, jet fuel can't melt steel beams. I mean, NORAD had 2.3 terabytes of data on the 9/11 Commission report, which they just straight up deleted. The 9/11 Commission report itself didn't even mention the CIA, Able Danger, Bush, you know, who funded the terrorist attack, who funded the attacks. I mean, it was basically just a joke.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I'm still pretty sure that 9/11 was the Saudis, and the United States government just trying to cover that up because the Saudis control the U.S. oil supply and are propping up the dollar.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so sure that it was instigated by the U.S. government. I mean, I know that the current chairman of, I think it was NORAD at the time, admitted that they testified that Dick Cheney issued a stand-down order.
Yeah. Well, people try to blame Israel as well.
Those are pretty funny.
I mean, we do have the evidence finally came out of Jews in Israel celebrating 9/11, but
Yeah.
that's not proof of anything.
Yeah, it's not proof of anything other than the fact there are people who happen to be Jewish who maybe had foreknowledge.
I mean, there are Muslims in Israel too. They might have been the ones who celebrating. I don't know. I haven't studied myself, but yeah, I'm still pretty convinced of the sods.
Oh, looks like we're actually gonna lose one. Alright. It's fine, it's just an air battle.
I mean, if you can take down these frigates, you might be able to turn them around.
No, they already got 180.
Oh.
They were at 179 when I said that, but whatever. I mean, like I said, I didn't even lose the planet. They're just, they're taking my fleet. Whatever, I'll get into one.
That particular space battle is pretty stacked in the Republic's favor, since you got 2 frigates covering their hangar.
Yeah, it was probably because it was the last one in the actual, Conquest.
Wait, they got Garrison 2?
Yeah, they're using a reinforced garrison.
Well, they didn't bring enough. And for some target practice.
Well, they're on elite now. I thought they were before, but apparently they weren't.
Logan Looker asks, how do you think about Trump stealing Mexican kids and putting them in a Texas Walmart?
I think you know what I think of that. Why are you even asking me? What do you think I'm gonna say? Yeah, let's steal those Mexican kids and put them in Walmart. I'm a big fan of child slavery, you know.
Listen here, cuck. If Trump says we gotta put the Mexican kids in the Walmarts, then stop sniveling and put them in.
Pretty much.
Freaking boomer logic.
Listen here, liberal. I've watched enough Fox News to know that ISIS is sneaking in child porn stars into NASCAR.
Boomer memes.
Who are worse, boomer conservatives or boomer liberals?
I can't tell the difference.
Same. That's the correct answer, is they're really no different.
I mean, I think the Vietnam War was the only justified war in the sense that you had communists fighting boomers.
I presume you're not being serious about that.
I hope not. What's the worst news site?
The worst news site? I mean, it depends on what you mean by the worst. I'd have to say probably Fox News, because they create these controlled opposition narratives and convince people who are disillusioned with the state that these narratives, which are all beneficial for the state and are created in the interests of the state, are in their interest, and that the political elite somehow against these things. Yeah, I mean, at least CNN, CNN is put up as if it's actually, you know, most people already know CNN's bullshit, and they put and the state doesn't even try to hide the fact that CNN is operating in the interest of the political elite. Yeah, it's the controlled opposition outlets I think are worse than the ones which are used as a way to try and manipulate people.
The worst one I can think of is Bell Tower News, which is a German news site, deliberately directly funded by the German government, and it's basically just like, imagine Vox, imagine what else? Imagine like Gawker, and imagine the Atlantic all rolled up into a single website that's basically a front for the government to fund Antifa with.
Yeah, when you tell me German government-run website, that's what I first think of, is basically just BuzzFeed.
Pretty much. But yeah, Bell Tower News is probably the worst. No one would have heard of it either. I mean, most people aren't German, so... Yeah, someone asked BuzzFeed. Yeah, they're bad.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of BuzzFeed. I don't think anyone is. Seriously, when's the last time you even heard an SJW cite BuzzFeed?
I don't know. I mean, nowadays people just like use BuzzFeed as sort of a low-hanging fruit when they have no content for their YouTube channels to reply to.
Well, that's the thing, like this new, really cringy, controlled opposition narrative, woke capitalism. These brands are putting politics over profit. They keep citing like BuzzFeed as an example of the mainstream media influencing the decisions of these bigger companies. Like, who reads BuzzFeed? Honestly. Alright. Let's see.
And that should be the last planet.
Yep.
I don't know who the hero is for Fallujah for the Confederacy.
Grievous.
I'm gonna
think.
guess Maul because he's the hero everywhere.
It's either Grievous or Django Fett.
Pale Moon or Brave?
Pale Moon. Brave has Google trackers on it.
Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. What do you think of InfoWars? Oh, this will be fun.
Yeah, they're a controlled opposition outlet. I've gone into detail pretty extensively about their COINTELPRO funding and how a lot of their advertisements have been pushed by Goldman Sachs. Yeah, the God damn it, it's Django Fett. But anyway, yeah, their very first radio station, which hosted InfoWars, was a COINTELPRO asset. And on top, and you know, these aren't just superficial connections. InfoWars, time and again, has had people like Pat Buchanan, who are openly CIA assets, on to talk about current events and news. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of InfoWars. I have sort of the same opinion of Alex Jones as I do Tucker Carlson, except Alex Jones is a bit more entertaining.
What makes the whole thing about... I've lost my train of thought. I don't even think I have one. I mean, like, what was it, in 2013 or something? He admitted that he plays a character on his show.
Oh, that was even more recent than that. It was like 2017, 2018. He got taken to court by his ex-wife, and his ex-wife used his character as evidence against him in court for why he's unstable. and that was his legal defense. Is he was basically forced to admit that it's a character that he plays.
Question is, like, is the character a more exaggerated version of himself, or is it some character that he is required to play as part of his act?
You know, I'll go ahead and be fair and probably assume that, you know, since the context of it was that, yeah, he was acting crazy, that's probably what they were talking about, was, you know, his sort of theatrics, how he yells and screams about shit. That's probably what it was, but, still, the fact that it's staged is concerning.
At this rate, I'll be able to retire soon.
The Confederacy is in control of another command post. The command post is no longer under Confederacy control.
What he has done.
Hostiles have acquired a command post. Their forces have deployed a reinforced garrison of troops.
So I'm just really into this right now.
Well, or the tail end of it, this is like the Republic's last stand.
Yeah, they don't even have that many command posts left. That's the reason why they're all spawning, like, so close together. They're all spawning at the same command posts. And yeah, they had garrison bonus, which got wasted just as quickly as they used it. Yeah, I'm not even bothering trying to use the sniper on this map, because as you can see, there's a very thick fog layer, and yeah, that's going to make it very difficult to effectively snipe clones.
Should the U.S. invade Wakanda for its vibranium, that we need to power fidget spinners and golf carts?
Yeah, Trump's tariffs are making it so we can't afford to have memes and fidget spinners anymore. We need to, yeah, we need to invade Thanos' home planet and Wakanda.
Can we just get Thanos to snap his fingers and give us infinite memes?
Give us all the memes. And that was the end of the campaign.
The Confederacy is now victorious, control the galaxy, and all is right with the universe.
Yeah, Sidious never rose to power. I don't think there's anything wrong with this.
Everything is entirely his grand plan is entirely dependent on the Confederacy getting their ass kicked.
I was kind of scared because I was thinking it was gonna play movie footage, but that was just the first one. Yeah, I'm not ever doing Battlefront 1's Galactic Conquest, because yeah, it plays movie footage FMVs for certain parts of the campaign, and yeah, if we do that, I'm definitely gonna get a copyright strike. I mean, you saw what happened to Filthy when we tried, instead of actually covering the electoral map, we just watched that awful Chinese dub of Star Wars Episode 3.
What do you mean by awful? It's perfect.
Yeah, it's hilarious. It's hilarious, but yeah, it's what. I don't even remember. Backstroke of the West, that's what it was called.
Yes.
Well, so, I don't even remember what they, like, it wasn't Star Wars, it was like, what was it?
Star War.
The Third Gatherer's Backstroke of the West.
Just one Star War.
Star War. Alright. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and look at the chat and see. If there's
You probably
anyone.
shouldn't.
Oh, okay. Great. I'm glad I got to read that.
If you had the Infinity Gauntlet, who would you make disappear?
Whoever this Evola Red Pill person is in chat right now. I don't have no, like, don't get me wrong, I don't have any issue with you, but yeah, I'm glad I got to see that somebody apparently thinks that about me. Anyway, so unless anyone's got any other questions or anything that they wanted me to answer, I'll go ahead and end the stream. And yeah, obviously, yeah, while I was playing, I'll probably go more in depth about some of the stuff you guys were asking in the future, because yeah, while I was doing the campaign, I was focusing on two things at the same time, so obviously I wasn't going to be as cognizant, but yeah, I hope you all enjoyed that. I really was not expecting that to be one stream. I'm gonna be honest, but
I mean, it's kind of like speedrunning, isn't it? Sort of. Not really.
no, if I were to look up a speedrun, somebody probably did it in under an hour.
4 or 5 minutes.
Gotta turn the desktop audio back up so people can hear you. Alright, looks like people enjoyed it. Well, thank you all for watching, and I guess I'm gonna see you all next time.
Bye.
We'll have a new video up tomorrow or the day after.
Probably the day after.
Alright, see ya.